Okay, so we are on to lesson 2 of the drawing of your can, and we're now going to add tone to our can through shading with our Ranger pencils, and we're also going to add any other details, etc., that we can see as well. Now, to start with adding tone, what you want is a range of pencils. So the first pencil is a H pencil that I've got here. Now, when you're shading, you always use the side of your pencil. Always use the side of your pencil when you're shading. Now that is a light tone, and that's the H pencil. And you can lean heavier on it to get a darker tone, and you can lean more lightly to get a lighter tone as well. So however heavy you lean on, you can make it dark and lighter. However, you can only make it so dark because it's a H pencil and that's a very light tone. You'll want a 2B. A 2B is a darker pencil. Again, using the side of my pencil, I can shade with my 2B. You can see a significant difference in the shade and tone of the 2B. If I lean heavy, I can get a fairly dark tone, and then I can bring up my pressure on the pencil and make it a bit lighter. So that's your 2B. And if you're lucky enough to have a 6B is really, really dark. And again, if I lean really heavily, I can get a really dark tone. And then if I bring the pressure up on my pencil and lean a bit more lightly, I can get it a wee bit lighter, and that's a 6B. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your can, and you're always going to start with your H pencil, or your 2H, whatever you've got. And the first thing you're going to do, there are going to be several stages. The first step is to draw out where there's light shining on the can, and that way you will keep that area of your can white. Then you shade the lightest tones with the H, then you build up to the 2B, and then only final touches with a 6B. So you're gradually building up layer upon layer of shades and tones, and this is the best way to get your shading to blend as well. So looking at my can now, it'll depend where your can is sitting in the room, and it'll depend on where your window is as well. So my window is kind of behind me and to the left, and because of that, if I bring my can just a wee bit closer so it's in the picture, you can see here I've got a lightish tone there. I've got a very light tone in the tip here, and it's very light here where the window's catching the light. So I'm going to focus just on this top section to begin with the tone and shading to show you how to do it. So, starting with my H pencil, I'm going to draw lightly that there's a white area here, quite a big white area there where the light's shining on it. Then another area, so this is always going to stay white. I've got a touch of white here and a very obvious bit of white here as well, where it's much, much lighter in that section there. Now, with my 2B pencil, I'm going to start shading. Now, you can see that here, it's quite a light tone. So I'm going to shade in lightly. Remember, I'm using the side of my pencil, to do tone and shading. I don't use the point. If I use the point, then it's liney, and I don't want it to be liney. I want the shading to be able to blend. So that comes round here, like that. There we go. Now, with my H pencil, I can get a wee bit of a darker tone. It's not significant, but I can make a start. So when I'm looking at this here, I can see there's a darker bit there. So I'm going to take my H pencil and I'm going to lean a wee bit more heavily just to make this bit a bit darker. But it is lighter just on top of it. So it's these tiny little details that you have to look at. The light is capturing those tiny little bits at the top. So I'm going to use the side of my rubber, and I'm going to make sure that that stays quite pale at the top there. I'm going to use the point of my pencil to bring the shape of it back in. Use my rubber to get the light bit there. That's it. Again, using the side of my pencil for the shading. Not going over my white area, because my white area is where the light is shining on it. Again, using the side of my pencil, really quite heavily. I'm going to use my rubber to bring out that light bit across the top. And it's this attention to detail It makes a massive difference to your drawing. And then if I come further down here, it's darker here as well. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Darker in here as well. Now that's the top bit there. Now I've used my my H pencil, sorry. I'm now going to move to my 2B. And I can see it's much, much darker in here. So I'm going to get it dark in this bit in here. But it doesn't, it lightens as it comes further around, because obviously that's where the light is shining on this bit here. So it's much darker in this corner. But as it comes further round, it gets a bit lighter. And it's the same within here as well. It's really dark in this corner here. There we go. You might need to move your paper around a wee bit as you do it. I certainly need to do that just to help. And then down at the bottom, again, it's darker in this bit in here. So I'm using the side of my pencil. And here we go. And then it's a bit darker in here. And then just making sure that this is staying lighter. I'm going to try and blend that lighter shapes that I drew earlier, blend them in. Maybe take my H pencil back and have them working at the same time as the 2B, working at the same time as the 2B. There we go. Now, 6B, I can use that just right at the end. So here, it's really dark in here in that bit. And in this bit in here, so I'm only doing that for tweaking, just for tweaking tiny little bits. You don't go mad with the 6B pencil, otherwise you'll end up with a black, completely black toned drawing. So you want it to, you want to have this range of tone. So that's the top bit. Then I'm going to do the bit on the inside. Now, obviously the ring pool's missing. I remember what it was called a ring pool. I seem to have it on the wrong side at the moment. I'm not sure, but oh yeah, it's because I've got it the wrong way around actually. So there we go. So I am going to shade in. We'll start with my H pencil. You always start with your H pencil first. I'm going to shade this in because this is really dark, using the side of my pencil so that it's not liney. Then I've got a bit of shading around here. Now I can see it's a bit lighter, so I'm going to use my rubber just to lighten up a wee slight touch on this H tone that I've done. And then a bit that. Go, and then I'm going to use my 2B pencil to make this much, much darker. I'm going to draw the shape in a wee bit better. Lost the shape a bit. There we go. And there's the wee attachment that was the ring pool was on, so I'm just going to draw that. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys get started. Pick up your H's to start with and your 2B's. Start with your H, draw out where your light areas are, then start your shading. Start with your H, shade it in, look for darker areas, then use your 2B. And if you've got a 6B, then you can have your tweaking with your 6B. While you're doing that, I'll work away on getting as much of the drawing done as I can. Start at the top and work your way down. Even if you get half of the can done this lesson, that's better than getting the whole thing done quickly. Take your time and look. Quality is better than quantity. So if you get half of it done and it looking great, I'd be happier than the whole thing done and done less well. Okay, on you go.